The Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever both have 2 wins. There's not a world where that should ever be a thing right now. All right? I don't give a shit if Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are out. I would say Sydney Colson, but let's be honest. She's been completely benign anyway.
Angel Rhea is out here laughing like she just discovered the Fever's playbook was written by a confused GPS recalculate. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's sidelined with injury. And the team's offense has gone into full existential crisis. No spacing, no rhythm, just vibes and missed layups. It's like watching 5 strangers panic in an escape room. And Angel, she's soaking it all in like it's premium courtside comedy. Without Caitlin, the Fever look less like a basketball team and more like a group project. Gone horribly wrong.
The Dallas Wings, there might be a team worse out there than the Fever. And the Chicago Sky have officially tied the Indiana Fever. The Chicago Sky are officially 1 choke off being what I predicted as the 6th seed.
The Indiana Fever, ladies and gentlemen, a team so loaded with young talent that you'd think they were forged in a lab with championship DNA, a roster featuring Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and enough hype to power a small country. And yet here we are counting a grand total of 2 wins, which just so happens to be the same number as the Chicago Sky. Yes, the Sky, the same team that's treating Angel Reese like a utility player on a pinball machine, bouncing her from position to position like a confused Roomba.
Every time any of these players were being interviewed, when Coach Steph White was being interviewed, all they said was that the Indiana Fever brand of basketball was going to be a fast-paced basketball, and I feel like we have yet to
see. Angel Rhea's had a season so chaotic, she might as well be sponsored by Dramamine. She's been bench shifted, rotated, and thrown into lineups like a toddler playing NBA 2K 1 minute. She's a starter the next. She's watching from the bench like she's an extra on a CW basketball drama. And yet here she is giggling on the sidelines like the Joker just watched his favorite sitcom. Because despite her own personal spiral into basketball limbo, the Indiana Fever are somehow still at her level now that, my friends, is comedy gold.
But this year, with Tyler Marsh salute, keeping Angel Reese further away from the rim, being a point forward if they're still doing this experiment, the bettors needed to change it up. The bettors needed to find something else that is surefire, and I think they have found it. Day 6 of Angel Reese missing her first shot. Day 6. These guys, as the kids would say, oh, they're diabolical for sure.
You'd think with a talent like Caitlin Clark, the Fever would be running the league like a 5-alarm fire. This is the woman who shattered scoring records in college like they were made of glass, and stale breadsticks. The Fever landed her like a golden lottery ticket, then decided to build their offense like a group chat argument, loud, messy, and ultimately going nowhere.
So Caitlin Clark had 27 points, 11 assists in their second game. They lost by 1 point. They were down by a lot, but they lost by 1 point. Caitlin Clark, again, solidifies why she is the most important player in the WNBA, the best player in the WNBA. She followed up her triple-double with a double-double. Now, if I'm doing the math, that means she's averaging 20 points, 10 assists, and 10 rebounds. The GOAT. She's averaging a triple-double through 2 games.
Let's not ignore the Caitlin-sized elephant in the room. Yes, she's injured. Yes, she's sidelined. But before that happened, let's not pretend the Fever were steamrolling through the WNBA like basketball's version of the Avengers. They were struggling. They were flailing. They were losing close games, sure. But close losses still count as L's, not moral victories.
Hey, guys. So Fever lose, and basically every organizational deficiency that we knew existed but kind of papered over was laid bare for everybody to see. Post play, non-existent. They were out-competed. They were out-hustled. They were out-rebounded. Just defensively, we were all over the place. Couldn't hit a shot to save our lives. We ended up shooting under 39% for the game and 20% from 3. But really, the big problem is that we just are the backup point guard position. We don't have a catalyst that can start.
What makes this whole thing even more absurd is that this isn't some expansion team made up of mall employees and retired gym teachers. The Indiana Fever are stacked Caitlin Clarks, playmaking Aaliyah Boston's presence in the paint, shooters who can actually hit shots, defenders who can lock it down, and somehow still it's like watching a Ferrari drive in reverse during rush hour. Meanwhile, the Chicago Sky are holding together with duct. tape Post-it notes, and Angel Reese's social media. Post, she's not exactly lighting up the scoreboard, but you'd never guess that based on the noise, this is a woman whose stat sheet is currently sponsored by the number 4 and the word inefficient, and yet she's front row, courtside, throwing shade like she's averaging 30, and 20 her offense might be sputtering, but her confidence MVP level, but she's laughing, of course she's laughing, because what else can she do when the team that was supposed to usher in a new era of WNBA dominance is barely keeping up with her own train wreck of a season? It's like watching the Titanic roast the Hindenburg for not having enough lifeboats.
Had the best off season in terms of bringing in new talent. Caitlin Clark is a year older. Aaliyah Boston's a year older. There's more familiarity with this team. And then you get veterans like DeWanna Bonner and Sophie Cunningham. This team is legit. It's for real. And if they don't win a WNBA championship, people can say what they want, but it will be a failure of a season.
You want to talk about coaching? Let's talk about the Fever's coaching decisions, because if you've got this much talent and you still can't figure out how to win a basketball game, maybe it's time to close the playbook and open a magic 8-ball. Some of these rotations feel like someone asked ChatGPT to create a starting 5 using only astrology signs. And don't even start on the late game execution. The Fever treat clutch moments like they're trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded, and while the Fever are melting under the spotlight, the WNBA's media machine is spinning like a broken carousel. Before the season, every commercial, every tweet, every press release made it clear this was Caitlin's league. They rearranged the broadcast schedule, rebranded the marketing strategy, and through every camera they had at her, like she was about to walk on water. And now they're panning over to Angel Reese doing TikTok dances while the scoreboard is a crime scene. Kane Clark's absence should be the dramatic pause and symphony. Instead, it's turned into a full-blown existential crisis. Ticket sales, dipping viewership, dwindling. WNBA execs are currently using stress balls. As Chew Toys, this was a golden girl, the savior of the ratings jackpot. And now she's wrapped in ice packs while Indiana feverishly searches for its dignity. Angel Reese laughs.
Anytime you see a 2-4 team with this kind of talent, and look, the Fever's got a hell of a lot more talent than the Chicago Sky. Anytime you see that, that's a coaching issue. When you got that much talent, you only have 2 victories. You got.
And what of Angel Reese's laugh? Oh, it's not just amusement, it's strategy. Because even while she's putting up performances that would make a junior varsity coach weep, the world is still watching, still talking, still reacting. Her numbers may scream rookie slump, but her presence screams headline. And that's all she needs of her teams doing just as bad as the most hyped team in the league. Well, then who's really losing? But let's circle back to the Fever, because that's where the real drama lives. This team should be dominating. They should be the ones clowning. Everyone else not the other way around. They've got size, speed, and skill. And yet they approach each quarter like they're solving calculus mid. Dribble the game plan seems to be get the ball to Caitlin and hope she invents a miracle. Without her, it's just chaos. With uniforms, Angel Sky are holding it together with less talent, fewer expectations, and what seems like a never-ending supply of blind optimism. No one expected them to be good, so being mediocre feels like a win. But the Fever, they were supposed to shine now. They're the team everyone hopes to face when they need a get-right game.
Angel Reese. Guys, how many times have you heard me say, if Angel Reese gets a double-double, the Chicago Sky will lose a game? It's almost clockwork. If she does not get a double-double, guess what? They're a lot more competitive and or they win the game.
So yes, Caitlin's out, but the Real injury might be to the WNBA's pride because they gambled on a golden ticket. And so far, it's not cashing a knot because she isn't great, but because one player can't carry a franchise that doesn't know how to carry itself. And somewhere Angel Reese is laughing not because she's winning, but because she's not alone in losing. And in the world of elite competition, that might be the biggest victory of all you. No, Angel Reese, the supposed queen of the post, has had a season so baffling, even her own shadow looks puzzled. She's been shuffled around like a game of basketball musical chairs. Starting here, bench, they're posting numbers that scream, wait, is this the same Angel Ree? It's like watching someone try to juggle flaming basketballs while riding a unicycle. Only the flames went out, and now it's just sad clumsiness. Meanwhile, the Indiana Fever, with a roster that looks like they should be steamrolling the competition, have somehow managed to win exactly as many games as the struggling Chicago Sky. 2-2. That's the same number a toddler might count to before losing interest and crawling off to eat crayons. The Fever have all the tools, all the weapons, but instead of Lighting up the scoreboard, they're basically lighting up Twitter with confused fans wondering if their talent went on vacation without telling anyone.
Yeah, the league is feeling it. And honestly, this could be some get back, man, at how terrible the refs have been. How terrible the WNBA has been. How ungrateful the WNBA has been towards Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. It could be all.
You think with names flying around like hotcakes in a breakfast diner, this team would be winning games with the kind of confidence that makes opponents sweat to their jerseys. But no, instead the Fever are delivering nail-biters and controversial calls that leave refs clutching their whistles like life preservers in a storm. And while yes, some calls have been questionable, did that really happen moments, that's not enough to explain why this much. Talent isn't producing fireworks. It's like watching a high-budget action movie where the hero forgets to bring his superpowers. Now here's the kicker, Angel Reese, is sitting back probably with a smirk watching this all unfold. How, you ask? Well, despite her own on-court struggles, the bench time position changes a bewildered look. When the ball's not coming her way, her team is locked in a tie with the Fever, yes, the Chicago Sky, with Reese looking like she's trying to figure out the game of basketball. For the first time is just as successful as a team that should be an unstoppable force. That's the kind of cosmic joke that makes you want to double check you're not in an alternate universe. Let's talk about the mindset that might be swirling around here. Angel Reese in her third season was supposed to be a dominant force, a rising star, the kind of player who makes you rethink your entire defensive strategy just by standing near the paint. Instead, she's become the poster child for what's going on here, and yet somehow she's still laughing. Maybe it's nervous laughter, maybe it's laughter at the absurdity of a season that defies logic, or maybe just maybe she knows something we don't like. The season is a giant experiment in chaos theory, and she's the unwitting star.
Can they do? What can they do? There is one player that I would extremely like, and this is something that's a little bit out of left field. It's a little bit out of left field. So, a lot of people are talking about hardship players, and I think, yes, they can do stuff on hardship players. But in my opinion, there are much better players you can get the 3, 4, 5 on a hardship contract than there are at the 1.
Meanwhile, Fever fans are left clutching their tickets, wondering if the talent on the roster is cursed or if they accidentally stumbled into a basketball-themed soap opera. The games are close, agonizingly close, and every controversial call is dissected like a crime scene. But with all the talent present, you'd expect fewer cliffhangers and more blowouts. Instead, what we're getting feels like the basketball equivalent of suspense thriller, where the audience is yelling, "Just get to the point already." And here's a little secret that's probably going to get the analytics team fired. Talent isn't everything chemistry, coaching, execution. And yeah, a sprinkle of luck matter just as much. The Fever seem to be missing 1 or 2 of those ingredients, or maybe all of them, because having a star-studded lineup but limping to the same record as the Sky isn't exactly a formula for success. It's more like a recipe for a sitcom where everyone forgets their lines. Now picture this Angel Reese with all her puzzling ups and downs, sharing a locker room with teammates who are equally baffled by the season's roller coaster. It must be like living in a sitcom where the script keeps changing and no one's quite sure who the main character is anymore. The Sky fans who started the season with hopeful optimism now find themselves in a love-hate relationship with Reese, the player who's sometimes brilliant, sometimes invisible, and always, well, unpredictable.
In other news, hard in the paint, Caitlin Clark, we're going WNBA on you. She is out for 2 weeks, and I know Angel Reese doesn't like to hear stuff like this, but
you going to talk about the numbers for the tickets?
Yeah, including the game against, what team is she on?
Chicago Sky.
The Sky, yes. The 2 weeks now that Caitlin Clark is out, ticket prices have dropped 42% from $137 all the way down to $80 on TickPicks. So
that's weird, though. Angel Reese says that all the fans are coming to watch her.
Yeah, it's strange.
That's weird. I don't know what's up with the drop-in. That's kind of strange. But yeah, I did see
Fever Sky tickets dropped 71% on TickPick after Caitlin Clark injury. The get-in price for the Chicago Sky versus Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever game was $86. After Caitlin Clark's injury announcement is now down to $25. And you Angel Reese fangirls will still believe and think that Angel Reese is the reason why people are watching the WNBA. Since y'all want to make it about race, this white girl over here is the reason why fans are tuning in to watch the WNBA, not because of this ghetto.
The Indiana Fever, on the other hand, are in a different kind of sitcom one where the laughs come from the contrast between potential and reality. They have the talent to be terrifying, but so far they're more like a cute kitten batting at a ball of yarn, entertaining. Yes, dominant, not quite. So what does all this mean for the rest of the WNBA? It means that unpredictability is the name of the game this season. You never know if Angel Reese will light up the scoreboard or disappear into a defensive haze. You never know if the Fever will pull off a surprising win or fumble away another close game. And for fans, that means every game is a suspense-filled roller coaster with more twists and turns and a basketball court full of confused players. At the end of the day, maybe that's the secret sauce chaos comedy. And a little bit of confusion, Angel Reese laughing through it all might. Just the perfect metaphor for a season where expectations keep clashing with reality, and honestly we wouldn't have it any other.